Thanks so much for staying with us here on News Talk. Bruce DePoit with you on this Tuesday. The Community College of D.C. is hoping the district government will provide a bailout for its $8 million budget shortfall. The college was launched 2 years ago by UDC, and enrollment has skyrocketed. That's great news, of course, but D.C. council members say they were caught a bit off guard by the condition of the college's finances. The school's president is here. We'll talk with him momentarily, but first, this report from our Mike Canine.
Wow, I'm kind of shocked about that.
More than 2,500 students attend the Community College of D.C., where tuition costs $3,000 a year, but that's subsidized with another $8,000 in local and federal funds.
The student population, as it grows, we can run a deficit, and clearly that's what's been happening here. We did not realize that there would be such a demand.
Enrollment increased 50% this year, and the college's deficit is now estimated at $8 million. Already, students are worried about tuition hikes.
I can't afford it, or I will have to find some other type of funding.
I mean, you can always go through the budget and find things that may not necessarily be that needed.
UDC President Sessoms says he is committed to not raise tuition on students. He's currently talking with the Chief Financial Officer of the district government, looking for other options. He's also looking internally at CCDC, considering a possible reprogramming to make up for that $8 million shortfall.
Very anxious to work with the grade administration and the city council to resolve this in a positive way.
School officials say they've been messaging D.C. council members and staff about the situation for some time. But Councilmember David Catania says he was surprised to hear about the $8 million request, and it doesn't help the D.C. government is already facing a $400 million deficit of its own.
No one is happy. I'm certainly not happy to be surprised by the need for more money, especially when times are as tight as they are. But look, we're a $10 billion government, and these, especially individuals who are in community college, typically are the least well-resourced in our community.
In Northeast, Mike Canine, TVD News.
Joining us now, Sessoms. He is the president of the University of the District of Columbia. Welcome. It's great to see you again. Thanks very much for your time.
Pleasure to be here, Bruce.
Address some of the issues that Mike just touched on, and to a certain extent that David Catania and others were addressing in the piece just there.
Well, I think I'll go back to the beginning. We set up the university part, which is a community college. We separated out in 2009 at no new expense to the district. We spent reserve funds from the university. We spent $10 million a year in the first year, $10 million in the second year to get it going. That included the building at 801 North Capitol Street, which is fully capitalized and I think is going well. And we had 1,700 students enrolled. And it looked like a pretty reasonable model. It was going to be self-sustaining. And we thought we could manage this. But it was $10 million each year for 2 years. So we spent out of the reserve funds of the university $20 million to get it going, with the expectation that there would be some backfill by the district when things were going fairly well. We revealed this all in our budget hearings. So we made it clear that we were asking for new money, understood it was very tight in the District of Columbia. It's been tight since I got here. Not as tight as it is now, but it's been tight since I got here. But we got a very positive hearing. They just were finding difficulties adding new money to the university. So there wasn't any surprise that we had some shortfalls. We're just using our reserve funds to cover it. The tremendous success story is that the D.C. Appleseed and Brookings report said it would cost $60 million a year to set up a community college, and we've done it for 10 additional million dollars a year. So when we brought this to the attention of the executive, and we've been having conversations for about a year, and I know that the CFO, Natwar Gandhi, has been getting information from his people for some time, we thought, well, the executive would give us a positive hearing, but we didn't hear back. So when the election happened and things changed, we have a very much more receptive executive this time, and so the word basically got through that there was this issue that was looming. We briefed the mayor's people. We've been briefing the council. Unfortunately, the message didn't get directly to the mayor because he was a little surprised by it. But that happens when a new administration is going and people have so much to do, especially when they have to deal with a $200 million shortfall and a $400 million shortfall. We're kind of small change in there. But we then were able to drop off the information. I did it directly to the mayor yesterday. And so we think we have an understanding of what's going on. This is a huge success story. When you have a community college that opens up with 1,700 students and surges to 2,600 students in 1 year.
50% increase.
50% increase. And in addition, you have new facilities that are being provided to the university to meet the needs of the citizens of the District of Columbia, but these facilities weren't budgeted early on. It causes some stress. And I think this is something that we understand. It's something the district government understands. I think there'll be a solution. What we'll have to do going forward is to build those extra subsidies into the budget As you know, UDC's budget really hasn't increased in 17 years as an allocation from a district. It's been $62 million since roughly 1997, which is a long time.
So the buying power of that
is 5% of what it was, maybe. But we've still been able to do things that have been surprising because we've been able to economize, we've been able to really squeeze on the things that were not particularly efficient. And creating the community college is a tremendous boon for the district. So we have one. It's doing workforce development in a major way, it's educating students, but it's costly.
But are you worried at all that the shortfall that city leaders are facing, there's already this disagreement or concern about how they're going to close the gap? It seemed to be in the $400 to $450 million range for a while. Now we're hearing the figure of $600 million thrown around. What happens if they come up with less than what it is you're requesting, or perhaps they say, sorry, but you've got to go with level funding yet another year?
Well, I think the district government, certainly the mayor and the council, are going to have to make some tough strategic decisions. We are designed as a university, the community college, to bridge the gap between those folks who are simply unemployable in some sense because they haven't been given the skills necessary to make it to the workforce, and those jobs are available. I mean, there are lots of jobs going wanting in the District of Columbia. It is unreasonable, I think, to have a city like the District of Columbia where more than half the workforce commutes in. We need to really prepare people who live in this district for the workforce, and that increases the tax base. I think the district will have to make strategic decisions on what they wish to invest in. That's one of the things that I'm hoping people understand. I think Vince Gray, as mayor, has made this very clear. We're going to invest in the people of the District of Columbia. We can build all the roads we want. We can invest in high-rises, but if we don't have the workforce to really build the intellectual base of the city's not going to be a great city.
I know a lot of University of the District of Columbia students watch the show. I get emails from you on a regular basis. This is a great opportunity for you to join our conversation today as we talk with Alan Sessoms, the head of UDC. Grab an open line now at 703-387-1020. I'll do my best to get to as many questions and comments as I can. If you want to send me an email, you can as well, and I'll ask your question for you or pass along your comment. newstalk@tbd.com is how you get your comment or question to me. We'll go to the phones as your calls come in at 703-387-1020. For folks who might not be familiar with it, can you talk briefly about how the four-year school, the University of the District of Columbia, differs? I mean, obviously admissions is one way. You got to apply and get into one. Community college, open enrollment, correct?
Yes.
What are some of the ways that the community college differs from the parent?
Well, the community college is designed to bridge the gap between sort of the folks who don't have the skills to get into a four-year institution and the four-year institution. They also, it's designed to help those students who really don't know quite what they want to do, take an educational experience, not spend a lot of money, understand where their career track is, and then branch into a four-year institution. It's also designed to prepare people to go directly to work. There are a lot of trades that don't require a bachelor's degree. There won't be many left in the 21st century, but there are some now. And there are medical technicians, for example, and other kind of EMS trades that don't require a bachelor's degree, but do require an associate's degree. And these are the degrees that are given at the community college. They're not given at the four-year institution anymore. There's also this very important piece of workforce development. There are a lot of folks here who just need to be retrained. Their jobs have disappeared. They don't need to go through a 4-year or even a 2-year academic program. They need to have a year's worth of training to reskill to go back to the workforce, and that's what community colleges are designed to do.
So the age range, the demographic profile of the students, particularly in that category that you mentioned there at the end, is quite large, it sounds like. You probably have people in late teens or early 20s all the way up to 50s and 60s and maybe beyond.
Well, beyond certainly. But we had the pleasure of having our winter commencement just a couple of days ago. The youngest person graduating with a bachelor's degree was 21. The oldest person graduating with a bachelor's degree was 64. We have students in the 70s at the university, and they are really just wonderful to have in the classroom. They bring a totally different perspective on education, and that really is enriching to everyone.
We were having an interesting conversation off the air that I want to tap. I want to ask you about again here on the air, because we were talking about the skills that you're trying to provide that match in a real way the things that employers are looking for. And you mentioned some things that I'll bet you most of the people listening to us right now have really no clue or little notion that you're doing in your classrooms now.
Well, one of the things we've created is a new College of Agriculture, Urban Sustainability, and Environmental Sciences. That's designed to meet the needs of the 21st century urban green environment.
So agriculture, urban sustainability, and
Environmental sciences. It includes transportation systems, air and water pollution, green roofs. We want to figure out growing vegetables in our farm, how to have those vegetables designed to go better in the urban environment. We want to make sure that food is safe. If you reduce the transportation environment in which food really needs to carry, you can treat it better. You can make sure it's fresher when it gets to market. We're looking at things that people don't think about normally as being a major piece, but it, in fact, is how do you retrofit buildings? How do you retrofit the house you live in, the house I live in, make it more energy efficient? It turns out that probably most of the cost of a building is energy. It's in the appliances, but the appliances tend to be inefficient. It's in the building envelope. They tend to leak, so it's harder to heat in the winter. It's harder to cool in the summer. Those things really make a difference in the ongoing operation of any kind of building. We're focusing on that in a major way, and those are jobs. To retrofit all the buildings in the District of Columbia, it's a long-haul job. These are high-skilled jobs as well. How do you move to photovoltaics? A major, major opportunity for us.
Stand by for a moment, Mr. President, if you would. We're going to take a break here. We're going to continue our conversation, your phone calls too, with UDC President Alan Sessoms right after this. Welcome back to News Talk here on TBD on News Channel 8. I'm Bruce DePoit alongside Dr. Alan Sessoms. He's president of the University of the District of Columbia. Not a lot of time left for calls, but we'll do our best to get to you. If you care to join us at 703-387-1020, we'll set aside a moment or two for calls. As we continue, we're going to keep them to basically the top of the hour. The University of the District of Columbia has been around a lot longer than I suspect most people realized. You just marked your 160th anniversary.
One of the wonderful things about this university is that it's a part of the fabric of the District of Columbia. Kicked off as the Matilda Minor School for Colored Girls. It opened on December 3rd, 1851, before the Civil War, and has been a part of the fabric of the District of Columbia since then. You might be aware that Wilson Teachers College was founded in the early 20th century as a school for white women, young women, to go into teaching. During the desegregation era and after 1955, they were merged to DC Teachers College. And then there was Federal City College and Wentworth Technical Institute, which were again merged into the University of the District of Columbia in the 70s. But what is important to note is that this thread has existed for 160 years in the District of Columbia. The history of the town is intertwined with the history of this university as it was growing. And there are tremendous, tremendous stories to tell about the fabulous history of the people who have in fact succeeded and become part of the history of the District of Columbia who came through this institution.
Anything special lined up, I'm sure there are, for this particular milestone in the school's history?
We had a wonderful gala at the Mellon Auditorium on Saturday, which was a spectacular success. The mayor was there, the chair of the council was there, several other council members. We had many of the major players in the District of Columbia present. We'll be celebrating over the next 18 months. We have a Founders Day coming up this month. We're going to be bringing to everyone in the district the fact that this is their university. It's been around for a long time, and there are things that we can do together. You
mentioned in the last segment that you expect to have, and may already have, a better relationship with the current mayor than you did with the last one. One of the problems that I guess that was a collateral damage, if you will, from the school's relationship with Mayor Fenty was board members. There were a lot of vacancies on the board, and I mean a lot of vacancies, because either the names didn't come or council didn't like the names that came. And where do things stand now in terms of your having, you know, a full board, if you will, no vacancies or a few vacancies, and the sort of people we'd want on the UDC Board of Trustee panel?
Let me comment on my relationship with Vince Gray. Vince Gray is a hero, in my view. He's been a tremendous supporter of the university since I came here, and he was, in fact, one of the reasons I came. He, working as council chair, gave us tremendous support. He really gets that the university's got to be a fabric of public education throughout the district, from pre-K to 24. You have to do it all. You can't start with just a pre-K and stop at grade 12. You got to go all the way. And I think that's a major resonance with the university, and we're working to have him reach his goals for pre-K for all, making sure the teachers are in place, making sure we can have significantly higher standards for our schools, so when students graduate from the 12th grade, they are college ready. This is something we're working with the interim school's chancellor on, Kyra Henderson. She's a fabulous, fabulous person with whom to work. We have a 15-member board with 8 vacancies. Still, 4 of the board members are elected. There are 3 alumni, elected representatives, and 1 student, and then we have 3 mayorally nominated and council confirmed board members. The mayor, Vince Gray, is putting together a list of people who he will send forward to the council. We're looking to have very, very prominent individuals from this town participating in the governance of the university. People who bring, as he say, affluence and influence, or at least some significant segment of both, to bear, because the university needs significant access to private dollars. Clearly, a district is constrained. We need to have people who can help us not only with local private dollars, but also with the federal government. We need people who understand real estate. We need people who maybe run major real estate operations who can help the university grow and meet the needs of the District of Columbia.
I only have 30 seconds left. Are you able to tap the brain power and expertise that are here in terms of, if not full-time faculty, then at least come in and teach a class?
One of the best things about D.C. is the most intellectually rich environment I have ever seen. So there are tremendous resources in the World Bank, in the local government, in the federal government, in the law firms, which we do, in fact, pull in. And the students really gravitate towards those because these are practical people who really do practical things, and they give internships, for example, which is really very nice, and then hire the students after they graduate. So this is a wonderful opportunity to take advantage of this incredible place called Washington, D.C.
Alan Sessoms, President of the University of the District of Columbia, thank you very much. Always great having you here. We appreciate your time very much.
Thank you, Bruce.
Good to see you as always. We'll step aside. Back with a program note after this.